Yeah, I need the police here right now. No, because he won't get his hands off of me, and I already told him 1,000 times.
Ma'am.
Get his hands off me.
Ma'am, walk away so I can talk to you.
The voice you hear in that desperate 911 call is that of 27-year-old Nani Finlayson. On December 4th, 2023, around 6 p.m., Nani had made a frantic 911 call asking for help to get her ex-boyfriend out of her apartment after he had allegedly choked her, and when her 9-year-old terrified daughter had tried to help, he allegedly threw her into a dresser. But when the deputies arrived, they found Nani holding a kitchen knife, her voice shaking, her daughter crying nearby. In just moments, what began as a plea for help would spiral into something no one expected. Nani would be shot dead by the same police she had called for help. But what happens next is even more disturbing. This is the life and death of Nani Finlayson.
The pain of not talking to her no more. The pain of not seeing her anymore. The pain of not hugging her anymore. The pain of not kissing her anymore.
27-year-old Nani Finlayson was a vibrant and nurturing young woman living in Los Angeles County. Born in 1996, she was a devoted mother to her 9-year-old daughter, whom she loved more than anything in the world. Nani was the kind of person who made people feel seen. Her energy was warm, her smile disarming, and her heart was always open. Friends say she had a way of lighting up a room without trying. She was protective, dependable, and full of compassion. She was the beloved daughter of Lamont Finlayson and Tracy Hall, who described Nani as not just her child, but her best friend. Tracy said Nani was the kind of person who never gave up on anyone, and she passed that same resilience down to her own daughter. Whether it was late-night phone calls, helping friends through hard times, or showing up for school events, Nani gave her all. She believed in building something better for her daughter and never let struggles define her spirit, until her path crossed with a man who would change her life forever. Nani started dating a man. For the sake of this story, let's call him Toby. From the beginning, the spark between them was undeniable. Toby was charismatic, carrying himself with a quiet confidence. He was kind, attentive, and had a way of making Nani laugh even on her worst days. At first, everything felt easy. The connection was warm, steady, and hopeful. Exactly what Nani had been looking for. Feeling safe in the relationship, Nani began letting him into her world. She brought him around her loved ones, introduced him at family gatherings, and invited him into the everyday moments that mattered most. Most significantly, she introduced him to her 9-year-old daughter. That gesture alone spoke volumes. Nani didn't take that kind of trust lightly. She believed that Toby could be someone stable, someone safe, someone worthy of sharing in the most sacred parts of her life. To those on the outside, it looked like Nani had finally found someone who cherished her, someone ready to build a real future with her and her daughter. But behind closed doors, the relationship wasn't as perfect. It didn't take long for their perfect relationship to start having cracks. What once felt like effortless communication slowly shifted into tension and misunderstandings. Little disagreements started to surface about responsibilities and boundaries. Arguments became more frequent, and when they did happen, they were no longer quiet or contained. Their voices would rise, sometimes loud enough for neighbors to overhear. Nani, who had once believed she found someone she could build with, was now walking on eggshells. With each argument, the emotional distance between them grew wider, and the tension in the home became harder to ignore. So, she made a decision. Eventually, Nani made a decision, one that took strength and clarity. She ended the relationship. For the sake of her peace and, more importantly, for the well-being of her daughter, she knew she had to walk away. But nothing could prepare Nani for what would happen next. On December 4th, 2023 at around 6 p.m., violence erupted inside the Los Angeles County apartment where 27-year-old Nani Finlayson lived with her young daughter. What began as a terrifying domestic incident would end in a tragedy no one could have foreseen. According to her mother, Tracy Hall, and the family's attorney, Nani's boyfriend had shown up at her home uninvited. What followed was brutal. He allegedly began attacking her inside the apartment. In desperation, Nani called 911. Her voice strained and frantic, told the dispatcher that the man won't take his hands off me.
Yeah, I need the police here right now. No, because he won't get his hands off of me, and I already told him 1,000 times.
Ma'am.
Get his hands off me.
Ma'am, walk away so I can talk to you.
In the background of the call, later released to the public, yelling and sounds of a struggle could be heard. Nani's 9-year-old daughter would later tell her grandmother that the man had choked Nani until she could barely breathe, and when the young girl tried to intervene, pleading for him to stop. In a moment no child should ever witness, she was attacked too. He allegedly threw her violently into a dresser. A few minutes later, 3 deputies from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department arrived at the scene. But what should have brought safety and protection quickly turned into something unimaginable. Body camera footage will later reveal what they saw when they arrived.
Tonight, a first look at the newly released body cam video from the LA County Sheriff's Department. The Nina Lancaster woman was shot and killed by a deputy. Deputies were responding to a domestic violence 911 call from a woman who says she was being attacked by her ex-boyfriend. We do want to warn you of the graphic nature.
As they approached the door to the apartment, they immediately heard yelling from inside. They attempted to force the door open, but after a few seconds of trying, Nani opened it herself.
Hey, come out.
Yeah, I'm going to stab him because he pushed my head.
She looked panicked, but it was what she was holding that made deputies freeze. In one hand, she held a kitchen knife. Her voice was loud, pleading not with the deputies, but at the man still inside. She didn't aim the knife at anyone. She didn't lunge. She just wanted to feel safe in her own home. One of the deputies instructed her to come outside, but Nani didn't. "I'm going to protect myself," she shouted, standing her ground. Then she turned and walked back into the apartment.
Go, give me a taser.
The deputies followed, weapons already drawn. A deputy was seen asking his colleague for a taser. Inside, the shouting continued.
Body cam video shows the male deputy enters through the front door.
Nani demanded her ex to leave. Her daughter, still in the room, told the deputies what he had done, told them how he'd pushed her. It should have been a moment for de-escalation. Instead, things escalated faster than anyone could react.
Finlayson is on the other side of the room holding the knife in her right hand. You can see her grab her ex-boyfriend's arm. That's when that deputy opens fire.
In the blur of noise and fear, Nani reached out to her ex-boyfriend with one hand, still clutching the knife in the other. That's when one of the deputies, Ty Shelton, pulled the trigger. The next few seconds would leave a mark no one would forget. Multiple shots rang out, and Nani collapsed to the floor right in front of her daughter. The moment the shots rang out, a heavy silence fell over the apartment. Realizing what had just happened, the deputies rushed to Nani's side. Her body lay motionless on the floor, blood quickly pooling beneath her. The officers moved in, attempting to render first aid, desperately trying to control the bleeding as they waited for paramedics to arrive. But the damage had already been done. When emergency responders reached the scene, Nani was barely alive. She was rushed to a nearby hospital, but despite the efforts of trauma doctors, her injuries were far too severe. Within hours, Nani Finlayson was pronounced dead, killed by the very people she had called to help her. A 27-year-old mother who had dialed 911 for protection had lost her life in front of the daughter she was trying to protect. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner conducted an autopsy. The ruling was clear. Her death was classified as a homicide. The cause? Multiple gunshot wounds. But what happened next raised even more questions. In the aftermath of the shooting, attention quickly turned to the man at the center of the chaos, Nani's ex-boyfriend. According to police, he became uncooperative during questioning. Though he was arrested at the scene on charges of child abuse and resisting law enforcement, he was released shortly after. His name has never been officially made public, but for Nani's family, the fact that he walked free while she lay in a morgue only deepened the injustice. Many in the community now question why more serious charges haven't been filed, and whether the man whose violence triggered the 911 call has been allowed to evade accountability. For Nani's loved ones, the pain isn't just in losing her. It's in the way she was lost. They believe she died trying to protect herself and her child, and that, instead of receiving the help she called for, she was met with deadly force. Their attorney had publicly stated that body camera footage shows Nani was behind a glass door when the deputy fired, and that she posed no immediate threat to anyone at that moment. She wasn't charging, he said. She was trying to survive.
We don't understand why a woman who calls for help, expecting the officers to protect and serve her, winds up with officers hunting and killing her.
Attorney Bradley Gage says officers shot Nani from the outside into her apartment where they lacked a clear line of sight, and explains that Nani had the knife to protect herself and her daughter Zaisha.
Officers should be trained that they are not supposed to shoot and kill when they don't know who's there or what the surroundings are.
In response, her family filed a $30 million legal claim against the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and the county itself.
Now to Los Angeles, where the police department is facing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit after a woman was shot to death by officers who were responding to a call she made for help.
It's not just about the money. It's about the accountability, about shining a light on how women are treated when they seek protection from domestic violence. It's a plea for justice for Nani, for her daughter, and for every survivor who dials 911, hoping they'll be believed. The most disturbing part? The deputy responsible had a past that revealed a chilling pattern. This wasn't the first time Deputy Ty Shelton had fatally shot someone who called 911 for help. Back in 2020, Deputy Ty Shelton was dispatched to a domestic disturbance involving 62-year-old Michael Thomas in Lancaster. That call ended with Thomas being shot and killed inside his own home. Deputies claimed Thomas had reached for a weapon, but his fiancée painted a different picture. She said he was unarmed, merely refusing to let officers inside when Shelton opened fire.
He grabbed his arm like this, and he said, ow, ow, you hurt me. And I said, please don't hurt me. And when he turned, that's when they shot him.
Shooting him twice without any justification.
The shooting sparked outrage. Although prosecutors chose not to file charges, they did note that there may have been less lethal alternatives Shelton could have used. That was not all. What happened next is even more disturbing. Then, in March 2023, just 8 months before Nani's killing, Deputy Ty Shelton found himself at the center of another controversial incident. According to a lawsuit filed in Los Angeles Superior Court, Ty was involved in a violent takedown of a school janitor, Eric Rios, in Palmdale. Eric Rios had been taking out the trash when deputies rushed onto school grounds in pursuit of a suspect. Despite Rios not matching the description, Shelton allegedly tackled him to the ground without warning. Rios, who reportedly screamed that he wasn't the person they were chasing, suffered serious injuries. The lawsuit accuses Deputy Ty of excessive force and negligence. With this troubling pattern now in public view, many are asking the question, why was this deputy still patrolling domestic violence calls? How can a deputy involved in multiple violent incidents still be in a position to use deadly force? And what does it say about the Sheriff's Department's oversight and policies? For Nani's family, these earlier incidents aren't just alarming, they're heartbreaking. They believe her death could have been prevented had someone taken a closer look at Ty Shelton's record. Instead, they say, another life was lost, and this time it was their daughter, their sister, their mother. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has maintained that it takes all uses of force seriously. In an official statement, the department said internal investigations found Deputy Ty Shelton's actions to be within policy. But for many, that's not enough. Critics argue that a policy means very little if it repeatedly allows avoidable tragedies to occur. What good is a rule book, they ask, if it keeps leading to innocent people being gunned down, especially those who called for help? The department has announced that a full review of the case is underway. Officials say they'll examine every step taken by deputies that day, their response time, their tactics, and whether they followed proper procedures. While that review plays out, Deputy Shelton has been pulled from field duty, but this time, it's not just one agency looking into what went wrong. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, the Office of Inspector General, and the Medical Examiner's Office have all launched their own investigations. It's a multi-layered process that could stretch out for months, potentially culminating in public hearings and detailed reports. So far, no criminal charges have been filed against Ty Shelton, but the DA's office has confirmed it is reviewing all available evidence: body camera footage, audio recordings, and eyewitness statements. And that footage is hard to ignore. It captures Nani, terrified, pleading for help, a mother trying to protect her daughter, a woman who was supposed to be rescued, only to end up dead at the hands of the very people she called. To the public, and especially to Nani's grieving family, this wasn't just a failure. It was a betrayal.
The pain of not talking to her no more. The pain of not seeing her anymore. The pain of not hugging her anymore. The pain of not kissing her anymore. So when the bells ring down, Happy New Year's. Not on my side, sir.
And now they wait, not just for justice, but for accountability. Because to them, Nani didn't die because she was dangerous. She died because the system failed her. Nani Finlayson's death has left an aching void in her family, a space once filled with laughter, warmth, and the steady love of a devoted mother. Her mother, Tracy Hall, says the grief is overwhelming. They weren't just mother and daughter, they were best friends. Now all she can do is hold on to memories and protect the little girl left behind. Her greatest worry is for Nani's 9-year-old daughter, who witnessed it all. The screams, the fear, the gunshots. The child saw her mother's final moments, and no child should carry that kind of pain. Tracy and the family have started therapy for her, hoping to help her understand that what happened wasn't her fault. She's surrounded by love, and local organizations that support children exposed to violence have stepped in with counseling, resources, and comfort. But the road to healing is long. A GoFundMe campaign was created by Nani Finlayson's family to help cover funeral expenses and support her young daughter in the aftermath of the tragedy. Her family shared that funds will go toward honoring Nani's memory and providing long-term care and counseling for her daughter, who witnessed the heartbreaking events that unfolded. At Nani's funeral, friends and family filled the room with soft tears and hard truths. They remembered her for her bright smile and her unwavering love for her daughter. The service was a blend of sorrow and strength, but beneath every word was the question no one could ignore. Why was Nani shot? Why was a mother who called for help killed instead of being protected? Could this have been prevented? They are questions without easy answers, but they must be asked. Behind the headlines and the official statements is a reality that can't be denied. Nani died in fear, in her own home, after doing everything she was supposed to do. And if it can happen to her, it can happen to someone else. Experts in domestic violence and policing began weighing in, echoing what many had already felt. Something has to change. Some said the officers who responded to Nani's 911 call lacked the training necessary to navigate the complexities of abuse, especially when a victim is defending themselves. Others pointed to the growing need for co-responders, trained professionals like social workers or crisis counselors, who could step in to help de-escalate volatile situations before they turn fatal. There were even calls for legislation that would require mandatory domestic violence intervention training for all law enforcement officers. But the push for change wasn't limited to policy circles. In Los Angeles and beyond, the public response was swift and strong. Candlelight vigils were held in Nani's memory. Rallies sprang up outside police headquarters and city buildings. Community members demanded not only justice for Nani, but a broader reckoning with how law enforcement responds to domestic violence. Local nonprofits and neighborhood groups formed coalitions, pledging to monitor police interactions and provide resources for survivors. Petitions demanding accountability gathered thousands of signatures in just days. Social media became a digital memorial. Using the hashtag #JusticeForNani, people from all over the country shared messages of heartbreak, solidarity, and outrage. Through all of it, one message rose above the noise. Nani Finlayson should still be here. And if her story can bring about change, if her voice can still be heard, then maybe no other mother, daughter, or child will have to suffer in silence. So, what happens next? The investigation will continue. New information may come to light. The district attorney could decide to file charges. Lawsuits may go to court. And community leaders will keep pushing for answers. Meanwhile, Nani's family will keep telling her story, because they believe the truth matters and because they want to make sure that what happened to her never happens to anyone else.
How could it be? We're supposed to depend on the law to protect us, or, at least try to protect us the best that they can, but it seemed like their heart was not there.
The case of Nani is more than a tragedy involving law enforcement. It's a reminder of the power some carry and the lives that hang in the balance when that power goes unchecked. How many more women will be seen as threats instead of human beings? How many mothers, daughters, and sisters have to die before accountability outweighs excuses? How long before justice isn't just promised, but delivered? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Here are a few more videos you might like.